everyone, my name is Shelby and this is the YouTube series where I reveal what's inside these mystery pottery molds I found on Gumtree. Hello, and this is part 37, and just to prepare you for this week, I am really proud of this result. I am really happy with it. So this mold is a 3-piece mold. It has 2 larger holes at the top, and as you can see, there's no markings on the outside. So it's literally a mystery from the outside to the inside. I add my little rubber band around it to hold it nice and tight, so when the liquid pours in, it doesn't separate, causing spillages. I gently pour each side up, and I do this with my little jug, and then I generally wait about 15 to 30 minutes depending on the weather and the mold to then tip it out, and then it usually spends a day or half a day in the mold just setting so that when I open it up it doesn't warp or become a weird shape because I've moved it too much whilst it's still wet. So I am ready to separate these pieces. So first off, I work on getting that bottom half off, so that's the pouring spout. So I gently just go in with the rubber kidney with my little felting knife and just sort of work my way getting that spout out so that it will remove nice and easily. And then I pop that base off. I get all that excess clay out, and then I am ready to flip it on its side and open it, and I open it to reveal this sweet little set of 2 little duckies. They are so gorgeous and cute. One of them has its mouth closed and one of them has its mouth open and is kind of more like it's like running around, like tweeting. It's so gorgeous. On the left, the ducky on the left has like a little bit of damage, so just from like scratch marks from the mold, but that's okay. I can sort of scratch, like carve those away a little bit and sponge them back so it's nice and smooth like the other ducky, but they are so adorable. When I pulled these out, I instantly thought I'm going to do some really cute florals all over them. I haven't done florals in a while, but I just love the surface area of these and how I could use the flowers around them. And the one thing that I thought of when I was doing this, because obviously I pour the molds for the first time with my clay, is that I was thinking that maybe if I revisited this mold to do like a yellow stain slip so that the clay piece is all yellow, and then when I paint it on top it's already all yellow and I just paint the designs on top for that sort of yellow rubber ducky look. Anyway, that's something to do in the future, but I picked out some colours. I'm sort of going for a cottage garden springtime look. I get my brushes out, ready to go, and I just have fun colouring these and adding all these wonderful flowers to these pieces. I haven't been able to do this for a while because it's been very cold, and as you can see in this footage, it was actually quite warm this week, so I was able to do a little bit more detailed work, and I must say I'm so proud of these. I'm so proud, and I've missed being able to really interpret the piece in my own style with my illustrative detail with the underglaze. It's just so hard when it's cold because the detail and trying to film it outside, and when it rains, the rain comes in, so it's just so good to be back to it. So I show a real deep insight into the painting process this week. So I did all these ducks the same sort of colorway, same flowers, but their placement was different. So where other mold reveals, I've sort of done like 4 different pieces with different looks. These have all got a similar look, so it's sort of it's more like a collection rather than like 4 unique experiments. So I just decided that that's what I was going to do this week. There was no rhyme or reason for it. So this week I thought that for the voiceover, because some of you like hearing some tips and tricks or some helpful insight, some of you listen to it on a Saturday morning as part of your like a ritual, and that is amazing, and I'm so happy that this YouTube, the footage gives you so much comfort and relaxation, and it's really relaxing to listen to. So what I thought I might do this week is talk about I guess, how I film my YouTubes, how I prepare my content, and hopefully give you some tips so that if you're looking at doing a YouTube for your work, if you're looking at doing like a TikTok or building an Instagram, obviously there's a lot of depth goes into the content that you create for that, but I'll talk a little bit about what I've done and tips and tricks that I've learnt along the way that you might be able to apply to your work, because I always find that sometimes you're kind of just putting it out there and having no idea whether what you're doing is working, or what are some really helpful tips when there's so much information out there. So I'll share what I've done. So social media has slowly been shifting from a photo word platform to now being very video centric, with incentives from YouTube, incentives from Instagram, and the boom of TikTok. So many people are moving to a video style content. And for me, initially, it was really overwhelming. It's so hard to constantly be thinking about filming what you're doing, let alone just doing it. But I'm going to share some things that really helped me to sort of be able to film and get content that was super engaging and sort of shows an insight into what I do. So my first tip is to take the viewer on a journey with you through the process. So the way you do that is to do like a bird's eye view, show your hands in full frame or show you in frame doing what you do, and almost showing the viewer as if they were looking down at their own hands making their creation. You also need to think about when you're making something, sometimes what we do, it becomes almost mundane because we're so used to doing it all the time. I want you to look at your craft when you're making your videos as if you're learning it and you're so fascinated by it for the first time. Like this is the first time you're hearing about it and you just want to watch passionate hands at work. And that's a really good insight into sort of how I film my videos and why I film them the way that I do, is because I'm trying to take everyone on the journey with me so that they can see my passion and they can feel it through the screen. So that's like my number one tip, because you want to make it about you and it needs to be really driven, because there's only one of you and that's why people want to follow you. They want to see an insight to that. My second tip is sometimes filming can be really overwhelming. You already spend so much time creating your work. Creative burnout is a thing with video content, is because a lot of people are expecting you to make new work all the time. So my other tip is you can definitely reuse content all the time. Don't feel like a video has a single use. You can recycle it in different ways, but in terms of like creating a video, you don't actually have to film hours and hours of footage. What you can do is, I generally film for like a TikTok or an Instagram, I generally film about 5 seconds of footage of each sort of step, and it's just enough so that people can get the idea of what I'm doing and get the sort of, I guess, like the story flow on, but it's not the full process. So it's just enough to hint towards the idea so that people can sort of like make up the rest as they're watching it. So when I started doing that, it makes the process a whole lot less overwhelming, because you just go, oh, just quickly show a 5 second snippet. And then if you show a 5 second snippet of each sort of stage, it ends up building up to make a really lovely story sort of footage journey through your video. The best thing about doing little 5 second snippets is you start to not even notice that you're filming, and then by the end of the week you have all this footage that you can use and turn into really usable, beautiful story content, and it doesn't become something that you have to set time aside for. It just becomes like a normal part of your practice when you're creating. So I love doing that now with the 5 second, it's sort of like a 5 second rule almost. My third tip is to add value to your videos somehow, whether that's showing how to do something, whether that's telling a story about how you started, telling a story behind your brand, telling someone something that happened to you since you started, or even where your inspiration comes from. Give people value so that they learn about you and connect with you. We're in a world where we are longing for connection, and connecting with one another is what we thrive, and it makes handmade so much different to something that is so mass produced and you don't know where it comes from. People want to know the hands that made it and the person that's behind it. Alright, I've got so many tips and tricks and I don't have enough time to share them all, but here's a few rapid fire. tap into trending sounds. If you see trending sounds, even if you've done a voiceover because you're camera shy, put it in the background really low so it taps into algorithm that way. Use hashtags. Hashtags are amazing. I don't know who said not to use them. They're really good. It helps the algorithm figure out who are people that might like your work, and it might help distribute it to people that will really like what you're doing. If there's a trend happening on a certain social media platform, even if it doesn't feel like it relates to you, find out a way to make it your own and tap into it in your own unique way. That's where trends really go viral, is when people take their own unique perspective towards them. Another thing is to collaborate and connect with other people in your area. So if you do pottery, connect with other potters, engage in their posts. That goes for hashtags as well. The hashtags that you want to use, go onto them and engage in the posts of people that are posting on those hashtags. But my final thing, and it's like the most important part, is to have fun with it and bring your unique perspective to your content. So many people told me to post a certain way and I could never do it. And I think that's why I have had so much fun and so much growth on social media, is because I've done my own thing. I've shared my own interpretation on what I'm doing and how I want to use social media. And it's been really successful. So bring your insight and your view of the world into your content. All right, so I had to stop it there, but that's because I'm showing you the glazing side. So with my glaze, the way it works is if I can still sort of see the indent of where I've illustrated with the underglaze and sort of like a hint of the color, that's when I know that the glaze is on thick enough. All glazes are differently, but that's how I tell with mine. I know that these are going to be a really crispy, clear light gloss. So I'm really excited. So I dunked the rest of those in and just admire those beautiful mushroom mugs from an earlier reveal that I'm obsessed with, and they're going to look so cute the mushrooms are going to look so cute in the kiln with these. So I am showing you a little bit into packing the kiln. Usually it's from far away, so you can't really see what I'm doing. So when I pack my little baby kiln, it is so tiny, I generally place pieces about 1 centimeter apart so that they've got room to expand when it heats up, so that they don't end up touching when they go through that expansion process from the heat. And I just make sure that it's got an even flow of air throughout the kiln, and it's just about trying to use the space as economically as possible. So getting little things as well, making sure that I have enough little things that can go on the sides in little gaps, and just using it to its full potential. So lots of little mushrooms in this one, filling in those little gaps and crevices that bigger pieces can't fit into. And honestly, I'm really excited to open this kiln load because it's going to be so cottage core, so mushroom core, very kitsch and adorable, and lots of color. I'm really excited. So I packed that overnight. It goes through 12 hours of heating to reveal this absolute magic. Sometimes opening the kiln, like all the time, but like sometimes opening the kiln just hits so hard. It hits amazing. You just feel so accomplished. You feel like all your hard work, all that anticipation, the anxiety, the worry, the excitement, it all just like washes over, and you just sit in awe of the color and beauty that the kiln has produced. Well, you have produced, but the kiln has transformed to its final state. These are just... I feel like every reveal I get to the end and I have no descriptive words to explain how impressed I am, but oh man, I feel like I'm one of those like producers that's like the best one yet, but it was the best one. It's just so amazing. The color is so pretty. The combination of the color that I chose, really love how that turned out, because sometimes you can be a little bit, maybe it doesn't sit quite right, but this one just sits right in that really nice soft spot for me. This beautiful palette. I love that the vibrant orange really stands out on the bill and the little footsies, what would you call them, feet? What are they called? I don't know, ducky feet. And I love the shape and how cute these are, and their little tail, and how the floral just covers them as if it's their own skin. Like I love it. I am so I'm going to have to keep 2 of these for myself. I love the contrast of the sunflowers with sort of like a yellow scented flower, the apple green leaf details and the smaller daisies throughout the sort of negative space. Oh, they're just so cute, and I'm so glad I did the collection. I love doing the different experiments each week, but seeing them en masse well, this is my version of en masse, but seeing lots of them with this very similar color palette, similar flowers, it's just so amazing to see them. And I've got a little duck army. They're so cute. It's going to be so hard to separate them. They're so darling. They're so darling. I feel like I could release little collections of these with different color palettes and flowers. They're so beautiful. Anyway, because the last scene I sort of show them, holding them, showing how proud I am of them. I have to click record before I'm even holding them, but I thought this was kind of funny because I put the little duckies on my fingers, so they became duck fingers. And then I showed you on the camera, and then I realized that my jumper was the exact same color palette as the ducks, and I was really impressed. You saw my lifetime reaction. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think, and make sure to like and subscribe for part 38.